So I've already discussed with you guys in the past how way back in the beginning of, fiber arts, the different materials they would use for crochet hooks. They would use bones, wires, anything that they could find, sticks in the woods, anything that could find, they would use. I also told you guys how they used tortoise shells back around like the 1800s, which I thought was a very cool fact, but I didn't like dive into the tortoise shell. So let's do that. So back in the 1800s, crochet wasn't just a hobby, it was a status symbol. So like in the Victorian era, the women that was high class or was of come from wealth, they had crochet, and their crochet hooks were stood out, and one of those type of crochet hooks were made out of tortoise shell. So the tortoise shell crochet hooks were usually made out of the hawk's bill tortoise shells, and they chose this type of turtle shell because it was flexible and it also was warm. Once you touch it, it would get warm. Each handle had chocolate marbling and amber tones to it, so each crochet hook was it looked different. No two hooks looked the same. But by the early 1900s, the demand for these tortoiseshell crochet hooks was expanding. Everybody wanted them, which meant the population of that type of turtle or tortoise went down. Sorry, didn't mean to say turtle, because y'all know y'all be very specific about my words. So they invented a type of plastic called celluloid. Now that they came up with this celluloid material, they started making these fake tortoiseshell hooks, right? Which became mass produced, but they were cheap, so they would break easily. Not to mention, they were extremely flammable. Some vintage collectors today will find these vintage hooks and see that the hooks are starting to break down as the plastic ages. Eventually, the real tortoiseshell hooks became banned worldwide because the increased demand would mean that the tortoises would become extinct. If you see a tortoiseshell crochet hook today, it's almost certain that it is fake and that it was made of the cellulose acetate that they made them back in the day that would break down. Crochet tools weren't always simple. Sometimes they were status symbols and sometimes they were dangerous.